Well, what's up, everybody? It's another episode of Opinionated Off Topic. If you guys don't know, we know these guys really well. They're the homies, little homies, they're really proud
Young
of what
guns.
they're doing and what they're building. I'm with Carlos Mojica, co-owner, co-founder of Opinionated Media. I'm Cam Theory, co-owner, co-founder of Opinionated Media. But yeah, we're with ZD and Third Eye Sai, and these guys got something cool cooking up with ATownDown, so we're gonna kind of talk about that and chop it up and hear about what they're doing and what they've been working on the last
100%.
year or so. So
For sure.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We're proud to be here.
Yes, sir. Well, as I said, thank you for taking time out y'all's day.
Yeah.
It's been long overdue. I mean, we said the same thing with Size. Like, we just had him on yesterday, and that was the first time. So, like, something's been long overdue, but better late than never. And it's probably better now because you'll have more of y'all's foot on, to the
In the door,
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
So just give us a little backstory.
sure.
I don't know who wants to go first, but just give a little backstory where you came from and pretty much how you're doing what you're doing now.
For sure. I'll start. People call me ZD, but I'm Zach Dole. I'm the founder of ATownDown. But yeah, man, humble beginnings. I was born in Sacramento, California. Capital California. It's a pretty cool spot. But I moved to Austin at a young age. I've been here since about 5 or 6. So, I've always had that community inside of me. I've always called this place home. But yeah, man, I was, just a normal kid growing up. Took to the likes of music, sports, basketball, football. Growing up, playing those sports, I feel like I learned a lot about, brotherhood and what it means to be playing on a team. I think that's really important. I also had a sibling, my younger brother. So, me and him, we kind of grew up. We were just, like two little dudes, just messing around in Austin, trying to find our way. Got into sports, but, went to Anderson High School. It's in North Austin, pretty cool spot. Good little school over there. Met a lot of people over there that I still talk to this day. Got a lot of people that, I hold close to me. But yeah, man, I've had a great experience here. I ended up graduating from Anderson and I went to the U of H for about a year. This is around, now we're in 2020, so this is around when COVID hit.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to spin back home. Took a few ACC classes, and then I was like, nah, I got a different route to take. If people don't know, I'm also an independent artist. I go by the name of ZD the Killer as well. So that's kind of what I found when I was younger, that I gravitated towards music a little bit more than anything. And I always knew that even when I was young, like at 5 or 6, I remember I used to play with the drums and stuff on the table. I always knew that was something that I wanted to do. I found out that rapping was really my passion. So, people love to listen to music. I was listening to music growing up all my life. And, as soon as I got to about age 19 or 20, as soon as I spun back from ACC, I kind of put my foot on the gas pedal with the whole music thing and, obviously the ATownDown thing, and we'll get into that later. But, that's kind of my story, quick little overview.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Which camera?
So it'll be this one, but this is the main one.
that's the main
This is
one.
all of us.
Yeah.
But this one be like at y'all.
Okay, cool.
Good question.
I'm Isaac. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. So I got here. I want to say in 2015, when I was 15, I would say, and my first high school that I went to is McNeil High School. So I stayed there for 2 years, my freshman and sophomore year. And then after that, I went to Vandergrift High School, and then I graduated from there. So I stayed my junior and senior year. But really, a short little background on me is, I guess, like, I've always wanted to help people, but I never really knew how. I was always trying to figure out how to, I guess, help myself. And when I got here, I was super pissed off and just angry because, like, I had to leave my hometown, like, all my best friends and shit. So it was just like, dang. But I was trying to find myself and figure out how I could help people. And I guess that's how this ties all into how we're even here, like, with ATD being our thing, our brand, the brand that we're supporting and that we're walking behind. But really, I don't know, man. There's a lot to say. I don't know, really. I'm just trying to get it together, really. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that move like, coming all the way from the north, moving over to the south?
Man, it was stressful. Like, I never really talked about it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, it was just like, I didn't know what to do, I guess. All my friends that I thought were my friends weren't, like, I guess, really my friends.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like, it's a kid trying to figure out, like, what's what,
Mm-hmm.
or what is love, because everyone always said they loved each other and that y'all were cool, but it's just like, when you leave from one place to another and then y'all are miles apart, it's like, it's not the same.
Different.
Yeah. That's got to be hard, too, as, like, I guess a teenager and young adult, because we've had people on here that have moved from, like, state to state when they were younger, but when that's all you know and that's home, like, you've been there your whole life. You've made the same friends. You've done the same things. You know the food spots. You family down the street. Like, all that's there, and that's what you've known for 16 years of your life. And then you move here, and it's like you basically have to start a new life and start over. And it's like, all right, well, now we're back to square one, even though I was here for 16 years of my life. Mm-hmm. So that's got to be tough. It's hard to move when you're, because you did it when you were young.
Yeah, I did it when I was
young.
young.
So it's easier for you because you probably came here, kindergarten?
Yeah, I came here around kindergarten for sure.
Yeah, so it's like you're a kid. It's easier to make friends because you're a kid. It's like everybody, you're just being a kid, you know?
That was my like surrounding at a young age. I think, there's something to be said about that though. I think, for the people that have moved around and stuff like that, I think, there's a lot of things you can learn in different areas and different environments. So, I've always kind of thought about that too and how that changes people. So that's interesting that you
I feel like it makes you stronger too as 100%. Well, like mentally stronger, because it's not a culture shift, but it's a culture shift, exactly. A culture shock, because it's like, you're still in the United States, but like you're going to a whole another region of the country that's complete opposite of what you're used to.
For sure, different climate, different people. All that stuff definitely adds up. So
it's interesting because you realize that I guess, how do I put this? You realize that things are really seasonal, because I'm not used to staying in one place. I'm used to actually moving around frequently. So to me, the way I've always seen life and friends for the most part have been like, oh, okay, this is seasonal. It won't last long. I'll probably be moving to a different place or a different location where we won't be as close anymore, whatever.
Were you in a military family or no?
Nah.
No. Oh yeah, because some of the guys we had were like military, and like that's how they thought too, was like it's just seasonal, because they figured that they were gonna have to move because new orders. So you got to move.
100%. No, I think as we grow up, I feel like that has impact obviously on us as adults too. So like the different environments, different places that you see obviously kind of impact your personality, how you treat people, how you learn to share, different things like that. Like I said, like I was growing up playing sports, and it's like I was playing sports with people that I had met in kindergarten, right? So like we get on the basketball court and we already kind of know what each other wants to do. Like you were saying, we kind of been chilling at mama's house having sleepovers.
It's the
you know what I'm saying?
You don't realize you built the chemistry at such a young age.
Yeah, for sure. So you're building that, and you don't even know that. But at the time, like you can put that into business, sports, whatever. But I think that's an interesting take. I kind of agree with that.
Would y'all say that y'all moving like brought y'all closer together as a family?
That's a deep one, honestly. That's crazy.
You can get into it because I got my own thing.
For me, really, I don't. Not in my household. Not where I came from. Actually, where we originated from was actually where we were the closest. But when we got here, like, felt like we just dispersed.
Interesting.
It makes sense though, because it's like when you're 16 years old, like we were all there at one point. We thought we had the whole world figured out and all this and that. So like when you move away from all your friends, could have had a girlfriend at the time, family. It's like, oh, because you want to get a job or you just want to move here. So it's like, man, I want to stay here. So screw you.
For sure.
Yeah.
Honestly, like for me, I'm kind of with Sai, bro. Like when we got here, I remember at a young age, I was like 7 or 8, honestly. But my parents split up, and I kind of remember them arguing and stuff in the house whenever we moved to a different spot. And, It's kind of interesting that you say that because I don't really, it's kind of my memory's fuzzy of California, growing up there a little bit, but I remember like my parents being a little bit happier, definitely. So it kind of like pulled us apart in a sense where, honestly, even now, like I wish, I was still close, like super close with my family, like how I was when I was really young. Because obviously, as you grow up, you become an adult, you have different responsibilities to take care of. My dad lives in California now, so he actually went back to where, we originally call home. And my mom is actually planning on moving soon, so like they're actually trying to, I think, go back to the like how things were originally were, to your point, if that makes sense. I think I'm really blessed, again, grateful, like we were just talking about it off camera, like I'm grateful to be raised here and obviously be brought up and meet people like you guys and call this place home. But I think that's kind of, there's something to be said about that when it's not your home originally, even if for a short period of time. I kind of feel like it definitely split up my family a little bit, but
there's just something about the South, man. It's just it's that Southern hospitality, and that's the thing. And just when you meet people here, everybody's just very, very welcoming.
Yeah,
and
that's sure.
It's from when we had different people on the pod. They come from different states, even when they're older. It's just like everybody here is just very welcoming. Yeah, and that's just a Southern hospitality because. The last guy we had on, what's the last name? Jackson Mitchell.
Yeah, Jackson.
He came from different places, but they moved to Texas and they moved to Dallas. And he was like, I was just playing in the front yard and people drive by and just wave at me. And he was like, "Who's this stranger waving at me?" But then he like just learned like that's just how it is.
Yeah.
People are down here just friendly.
Nice. Yeah. It's an interesting take. Yeah, I definitely kind of felt that in my little community for sure.
Yeah. So I guess when you get down here and I know you love basketball, like you played basketball growing up, I guess.
Of course.
Was that kind of like your vice as a kid, like while you were kind of growing through those transitions?
Yeah.
Like hooping and stuff?
Man, that's a good question. I think it was for me, honestly. And I also think, I kind of touched on the music thing a little bit earlier, but I also think that was a little bit more expensive at the time. Like I couldn't just pick up a ball and go to a gym. You got to get equipment. You got to get a nice mic. The way that I wanted to do it and really bring it out. So I think I did use it as kind of an escape and like a vice in a sense. I started realizing the more that I, got into sports as well too. And it wasn't just with basketball; it was really with football. But I started understanding like that mentality, like the togetherness mentality, if that makes sense. So I'm really thankful that I did choose that path. And yeah, man, I think it definitely kind of shaped, my passions now for sure. Like you're saying, like I'm still into basketball. I still love it to this day. It's still, I can definitely go pick up a ball and go hoop whenever. Yeah. And that's something that I'm always thankful for. Again, I'm grateful for is like having sports, having that escape, being able to definitely go hoop. But yeah, I've never thought about that. That's a good question.
For you, when he first introduced it, he mentioned your stage name, Third Eye Side, so you make music as well. When you moved down here, was that something that you started picking up on heavy to like cope with feelings, or was music something that's just always been a part of your life?
Well, I was actually, when I lived in Ohio, music was just like an outlet, so I loved listening to music. That was like one of my favorite things to actually do. I don't know. There was nothing else that made me feel better, I guess. Than listening to music. So I was just like always vibing out. But then when I got here, I started realizing like, man, this dude sound nice. Like I could probably sound nice too, maybe. Like, I don't know, like whatever. But then I started making music when I was probably about like 17, I think, 16 or 17. And I was buns, but it was just more so. It was more so the fact of it just being the process had started that at that age, and then I started really digging deep into it, and I was just by myself for a very long time making music, and then I met Z, and then that's when it started feeling like things started kicking off more. I guess more so in the music career, because in music it's always like
it's a roller coaster.
It's a roller coaster, and just. We're gonna get into it. Yeah. It's really cool to see like kind of not saying like you're giving up on music, but kind of like segueing into something else that still allows a creative outlet. Obviously, you can still make music, and make that your passion. But sometimes you do have to be like realistic with yourself because there are so many artists and there's so many people trying to make music, and then one of you not founded by like a label or have a a manager or whatever, then like getting like funding to do things like to pay for music videos, to pay for studio time, to pay for marketing and all that stuff.
Yep.
Like most of the time you're coming out of pocket unless you just have a
Financial
great
somebody.
exactly, know someone, great circumstance. So like I definitely understand the challenges of that, because I mean we meet all these artists and a lot of them it's like a struggle just to even put out something quality, or even like they might have a quality song or album, but there's no like marketing push behind it. And then with music and stuff, getting a manager, like a lot of time these people, unless they're like your homie or a good friend, then they're gonna want to be compensated, and it's like you can't even pay them, or it's like when you do get money, it's all going to them because they're hoping you make something,
Right.
So
Right.
it's super cool to see like kind of just like just how y'all have ebb and flow things. I remember when we first met, you were mainly on like
Music.
rapping,
Yep.
music only primarily, and then just like us having our conversations when Carlos was living here, and you just pulling up and just talking to us, and just like learning from us. It's just cool to see like you're taking an idea and expanding on it. So
I appreciate that, man.
Both of y'all.
Yeah. I mean, I was literally talking to him about that in the car. It's like, it's so important that, you don't put yourself in a creative box.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that we were doing that necessarily with the music, but I think we were doing that in its entirety.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And we weren't allowing ourselves to expand and do different things and try different things out. Because like you're saying, if you don't have some of those resources coming up, it's a lot harder to get put on the map.
Yes.
But you can still work and still do different, take different avenues and still, meet new people and do different things. Like it doesn't have to stop either. I think that's kind of the thing I've been preaching to him as well, is like, we still want to make music, man. We still want to prove that we can still do this, and then like also do that as well. Cause like you're saying, that just gives us a one up in a meeting or whatever, whenever we get into those certain areas to capitalize, it'll just,
because you're starting to learn so much stuff through from like building a business from the ground up. Because like obviously being an artist is a business, but it's not as granular and structured and high level as like a business, like a real business essentially. And like you're saying, whenever you do get to that point, it's like, oh, ZD or Sai has this super fire song, and you're sitting in these meetings, and you've already talked to people, you've already maybe raised capital for your own business, so it's like you can kind of read through the bullshit with some people, and things like that,
grammar,
grammar, and just all that
about
stuff.
Lawyers,
it's very.
I would
important.
also like to add on that being in the artist, or being in the industry of making music, coming to the side of creating a business and understanding how it works and how it functions. It's also the same thing with being an artist as well, but we didn't have that foundation to even understand how that started or how to start. So it's kind of cool being able to see us grow from actually transitioning to creating and then building up a business, and then understanding like, oh, it's kind of the same steps to being an artist as well. We just didn't know that.
And
you gotta take interesting.
You gotta take it serious from the jump too, because I mean, when we started, it was like we had this cool idea, like let's execute it. But then obviously you can post whatever, execute it. But if you're not rolling it out a certain way, especially now, like it's so competitive, and if you're not doing it a certain way, then people aren't even going to give you the time of day, because there's someone else that is doing it the right way, essentially. And then like they're going to be like, oh, this person, they're doing it the right way, so like I'm gonna go gravitate to their content. You know what I mean?
What's up?
Well, I was gonna say, we kind of had that problem too at the beginning. Was we were opinionated sports podcast, so like sports is a lot of different things, but obviously it was like the main four, really three, that we talked about. So we're like put in a box, but we had so many other ideas that we wanted to do that it's like, man, we can't really be opinionated sports and still do all this other stuff that we want to do, because it just doesn't flow together. And we're putting out different content that just wouldn't align with being opinionated sports. So that's why we rebranded and changed to Opinionated Media, so we can do whatever we want, without being put in a box.
I love that.
And then if we want to still do a sports content, we can, because we're Opinionated Media, not Opinionated Sports.
Exactly. And then just like learning your brand pillars too. I feel like that's one of the most important things. Most people, brand pillars, you typically have like 3 in business or whatever, and it's like whatever you specialize in, but they kind of all tie together in a way. And for us too, not talk about us too much, but like we started off, like he was saying, like we were posting all of our content on one YouTube channel. So we were posting like you get on there, you would see obviously the off topic, you would see, you know, some trivia, some challenge video, you would see you know, sports podcasts and all this stuff. So we'd get, you know, an abundance of people coming in for these videos, subbing to us because like, oh, we like this sports video.
Yeah.
And then like then they see like this random entrepreneur on and they're like, who is that? Like I'll probably unsubscribe, or they'll probably, now when you upload, they're not going to be looking for your content because they don't know what to get or what to expect.
Right.
So even having a conversation with him and Albert and, you know, CJ, I was just like, listen, we need to make a sports YouTube channel. Like it's a short-term cutback to really, you know, become a long play. And like our sports channel already has 300 subs because it's niche.
Yeah.
You know, like people know what they're going to get there. So
I feel like pick up game, man.
yeah, I feel like that's just something like you got to
free.
learn because I mean we didn't do that till almost 4 years in, you know, so it's just kind of like learning from experience and also having like the right conversations, talking to the right people.
Yeah, I mean, man, it's funny. You're talking about yourself too much, but you're not, man. I was about to say like you guys, like CJ's in the back too, but you guys have really played a role in our development as well. I always say that. I feel like I always try to make sure that you guys know that.
Yeah.
But like, it's important. I want to hear what you have to say, if that makes sense, because it is valuable. And doing things like that definitely improve your brand, and having brand pillars and understanding your brand's values, super important. And it's still something we're learning to this day, man.
Yeah,
like
no,
it's not
for
easy.
sure.
We're so young. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I mentioned this, but you know, I'm 22.
Yeah.
You know, so is he. So you know, we're so young. We're still trying to figure out our own paths.
And that's too like when we first met you, I'm pretty sure like because like we met you through CJ, and then like what CJ was just telling us like how you were talking to him, and then me and you started talking more, and then you started talking more to Carlos and both of y'all, and then I was just telling him, I was like, man, like I wish we had people to talk to when we were their age about this type of stuff.
I was about to
because we
say,
didn't, you know.
yeah.
So it's like if there's opportunity, we met y'all. It's like we're gonna help y'all, give y'all as much information as y'all want, and like that's the cool thing. Like y'all are learning it and y'all are applying it. You know, like y'all aren't just like, oh, like whatever. I got this cool idea. Like you can tell y'all are hungry, and there's like a factor of like, you know, accomplishing something dope and unique. So it's
Exactly.
been
Crazy
awesome.
how much changes in a year.
Nah, for real.
Just like because
Man,
when we were 21, 22, like nobody was talking to us about this. But like year 23, they were talking to us about this. Year 24, they were talking to us about this. Like it's crazy what a whole year can do.
Yeah, and I was going to say, like, adding on top of that, it also helps us be able to pass that knowledge down.
Nah, for
Whenever
sure.
we get into the positions that you guys
Yeah.
are in, and that's a part of it, right? Like
Yeah.
sharing the information and making sure, helping the people that, you know, deserve to
Exactly.
be helped.
Yep. Exactly.
That's another thing too. Like, unfortunately, not everybody's going to listen. Not everybody's going to pay attention
Not
to it.
everyone's worth your time, and you do gotta like, you know, pick and choose like what you tell people and like who you like. Having a 15, 30-minute conversation, especially as busy as we all are, like that's a valuable time.
Yeah.
So like making sure.
I was about to
it's
say, like,
spent
you and
well.
CJ have helped me understand
Yeah.
that. You know, even, you know, to organize my time better. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, like, where is my time the most valuable?
Yeah.
Like, where should I spend it? Where is it going to make sure, like, where I know this information is going to be properly, like, cared for and actually applied? Like, so that really matters, man. I think, you know, it is crazy, like, how much changes in a year. And, you know, we're so thankful for that opportunity. I think, like, not taking it for granted is another thing, too. Like, if you have the information that's out there, like, this is another thing, too. Like, make sure you go get it. Like, it's out there. You know, you can meet people. You can definitely, you know, the information is definitely there for the taking. So it's like, make sure you're not taking that stuff for granted. I know me and him don't. The people we work with don't. So we appreciate it for sure, bro. And it's like, we want to hear what you guys have to say, and we want to soak up as much game as possible. And I think that's something we want to pass on to the younger generation as well. Because when we were younger, bro, like I told you in the car, like we didn't always pay attention when we should have been. And that's something we're trying to learn. Even like you're saying, like we're 22, you know, you got it at 23, or I'm gonna get it at 24. It's like we can get it right now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So, how did y'all meet? Because you went to school in Round Rock Cedar Park. You went to school in North Austin. So, like, how did y'all even come together? Did y'all just have like mutual friends, or was it just ran into
I
each other?
always smile about
Yeah,
that.
me too.
Like
You
we
wanna
met
get
through
into
it.
that?
Yeah, like you can tell him honestly because you knew her before I did.
I heard her.
Well, yeah,
that was that.
Well, she was somebody that was just into my music, so it wasn't sus or anything.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, for sure.
she was just saying, this is back probably 2.5 years ago now, almost 3 years ago. This was, you know, during COVID. So, you know, it was a little while ago. But yeah, this girl had, you know, essentially just like connected us. You know, she said that this dude was really into making music. You know, at the time I didn't know who he was, so I mean he's just a dude. So I was just like, okay, you know, that's interesting to me. You know, as the type of dude I am, I'm like, I always kind of give people a shot. I'm pretty open, especially if it's like, you know, you make an advance, you know, towards me. I'm not gonna like shoot you down or anything. So it was pretty cool how he kind of opened up and, you know, hit me up. And, you know, one day I think he might have added me on Snap, and she told me like that was the username, and so I added him back, and we got to talking immediately, bro. You know, he kind of explained, you know, what he was doing, you know, how he was interested in making music, and you know, honestly, the cool part for me was like, we talked about that, but it was like we talked about like other stuff. You know, I think, you know, I kind of know the story with you guys. It's like y'all linked up, and it was like that was what you know you guys had at the time, and like for me, this was the only dude that really was like I was able to talk to on a consistent basis. I remember like I had actually God bless my mom, so I got kicked out at the time because I wasn't really doing what I was supposed to be doing. I was rapping, I was like doing a bunch of shows, you know. Just you know, messing up, you know, just, you know, doing like, you know, smoking weed, you know, doing all that stuff that's just, you know, not good. I was making money from it. That's the crazy thing too, is like Sias, you know, Texas Ghoul, Michael Corley. You guys know a little bit, but yeah, we were kind of rummaging around making music, and essentially that's kind of where I got the buzz. But yeah, man, he just hit me up and we connected. And it was just honestly like I've talked about it before on, you know, PCT a little bit, but he just had that light in him. I could tell through the phone screen, and I think that's literally how like a lot of people nowadays make a connection. Really, is online real. And like being able to feel that personality through that. And it was crazy. Like I was able to feel that connection through the phone, and we ended up meeting. I'll say like a while. It was probably like 6 months after that. It wasn't even soon because of COVID. So we really couldn't, you know, chill. But that entire time we had been talking, you know, talking about music, talking about linking up, talking about chilling. You know, trying to find ways we could really do this. And, you know, again, I was blessed that somebody, you know, took the time out of their day to really care about what I had going on. So I wanted to help him in any way. I kind of told him, you know, like, I think the first time we ever met, he came over. He showed me, you know, some of his songs that he was making. And, you know, again, for me, it wasn't about the quality. It wasn't about that. I just knew he had that it factor. And that's something I think, you know, the Elite 11, they talk about it with Trent Dilfer. It's kind of like people don't have that it factor. That's something that you gotta, you know, either have or you just don't. Yeah, and I had it, so I was willing to, you know, give my resources up. And I'm sure you guys kind of understand where it's like I'm gonna try to help this person, you know, in any way possible. Yeah. So I was helping them, you know, telling them like, yo, look, you got it, dog. Like, if you need anything from me, like you need help with getting beats, going to the studio, doing whatever, bro. Like I got you. I have those things. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, you know, we can
diamond in the rough,
man, bro. Yeah. Like I'm so glad I met him for real. That's like that changed my life for sure. Like that was life changing. So I'm really thankful for Jaden.
How old are y'all when y'all met?
I was 19.
19.
Yeah. So I had to be 20.
20.
Either 19. Turning 20 or 20.
Yeah,
you're a little bit older?
Mm-hmm. He's a little older than me, but I was 19 when I met him.
Oh, yeah.
22 now.
So you meet him, and obviously you guys were both making music. Yeah. Kind of what was the go ahead.
Yeah, I was about to say it was more of that music focused route, so you can get into it.
What was the transition, I guess, from making the music to being like, okay, we're making music, you know, we're making some good songs here and there, we got some noise, some motion, to all right, let's, you know, curate ATownDown.
Okay. Yeah, good question. Man. I think, that's a good question. I think for me, it started really when we started going to the studio. And again, shout out AIM, bro. There's a lot of people. I'll probably shout out a few people on this podcast because, like, there's a lot of people who've helped me. And, like, again, like, I always try to, y'all know me, like, I try to let people know that and out loud so they can understand for real. But, yeah, AIM is, he's our studio engineer. And honestly, this is 2 years ago now. This is over a year and a half ago. Because you were right. You know, we were making music and we were doing that type of thing. But he was kind of telling us, you know, make it a business. We were just kind of talking about it off camera. You know, what are you guys doing outside of the studio? You know, I know y'all got good music. You know, y'all make high quality music. You know, it's obviously y'all can do that. But what are the other facets to this that y'all aren't approaching the right way? And that honestly got me thinking. And this is a conversation we had, you know, a while ago. And that really is what sparked it for me. And it kind of changed my mentality of like, okay, man, like I was telling him when it was switching, I was like, man, like it's cool. Like give yourself a pat on the back. You can make music. You spent years doing that. You spent your time in the dark, but like, what do you not know how to do? Like, let's figure that out. You know, let's figure out how to start a business. Let's figure out how we can build a platform to help these artists out, like ourselves.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Because that's the problem that we had. We didn't have, like you're saying, like people like you guys, and it's crazy now. It's crazy now. Like I'm thinking about it. I'm so thankful for people like you and people that have helped us, because like we didn't have that when we were at this stage in time. So it's cool how those relationships develop. But anyways, for me, that was really when that transition started happening. Essentially, the idea for ATownDown really started, I think, 2 years ago with my boy Jake. He's a graphic designer. He actually worked on all of our album covers. I was gonna it's all crazy how this it's all crazy how this stuff is all intertwined.
Shout out Jake, the lettering.
Yeah. I'm about to say the lettering. I was about to say. I was about to say. But shout out to Jake, man, for sure. But me and him, he talked to me about it. We kind of decided on that name, ATownDown, and we thought it was a really cool idea. And this is back then. So I'm thinking about, okay, like how can we really build this into something? At the time, I ain't really have a job. I was, kind of in between doing things. It was right after COVID. So I was looking for a little bit of stability. So I didn't have a ton of money. So we weren't really able to capitalize on that vision at the time. So we kind of shelved it. Honestly, I'm kind of thankful we did.
For sure.
Because we talked about months ago, but I think there would have been steps skipped. And that's something that we couldn't afford at the time. So that's kind of how we got into doing ATownDown. And, I'll let you kind of add whatever you have to that. If you see it differently, but we'll get into what we do next.
Really, it was just that, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
For sure.
It was a, what do I want to say? It was a long journey from switching. I guess especially more so for me, it was a journey of being like, oh, I make music, because I would have myself like fighting myself. I'd be like, oh, okay, like you make music, and then it'd be like ATD, and then it's like, oh, but you make music, and it's like, but you got to do this so that way you can do this and do that and curate and do this, do all these different things. Because honestly, for me, it always came down to how can I help somebody? So I was like, oh, if I can become the best musician or whatever you want to call that, then that way I can help other people with the money that I gain or the connections, like Z said, the resources, whatever that may be. But over time, I just was like, okay, I'm going to have to choose and sit down and like have to really focus on one thing first before I can get to the next. So it was a struggle trying to go back and forth between the two, but I finally came to being, I guess, whole with my decision of being like, okay, I want to be this with ATownDown, and I want to focus on this.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. And we talked about it a little off camera again, but it was a struggle, man. Stuff was coming out of our pocket. We didn't have a ton of money.
Man.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, again, like the personal stuff on top of that, wanting to be able to, create something. And it's like laughable because it's so, it's so cliche, but it's so real.
And it's cool to like have met y'all before y'all had started, because there was stuff we like for sure skipped. Like we did a great job with like logo, branding, representation, getting equipment to, shoot the content we wanted. But like the LLC, like stuff like that, we could have probably done a long time ago. So he literally just asked me like off camera. He was just like, what's our credit score? Well, y'all ain't gonna get that. But like stuff like that, it's like if we would have had an LLC off rip, we could have maybe got like a $500 credit card and could have been building our credit years ago, the beginning, and like pitting stuff on there. Yeah, we're coming out of pocket because we're not making anything. But like I was telling him now, like whenever we get stuff, we need to use what we've created from the business to continue to get us stuff. Even if we are still paying the bills with our own money, it's still being represented and reflected on the business as opposed to our own personal finances. So I always tell him like, man, it's not gonna affect our own personal life. Like it's the business life.
That boy said, "Hey, fuck it."
Because I always say,
"Better go bankrupt, but it's the business."
Nah, for real.
Liability.
Liability. Man. And again, like certain conversations needed to be had, even with us. Shout out to Austin Suter, and again, like Cam Thierry. Like you guys are telling us, like, man, like you got to get organized, bro. It's like you can't skip a step.
Bro.
So I'm going home doing the research. Okay, like
Yeah.
what is every certificate I need to make sure I can run my business properly? You know what I'm saying? And what's the communication that needs to come with that? Because it's not just me who's doing it. That's another thing that's been really cool. Is like, man, like we firmly believe in the power of collaboration in the community.
And
so.
like y'all have built a team. Like I definitely wanted to have y'all get into it because it's cool to see like y'all like have built a team like from the beginning. And for us, it was more so just like in its semblance over time. Like it was me and Carlos. Then Albert happened to be getting into videography and photography, so it just made sense to help us. And he was trying to learn and get reps at the same time. And then CJ had always been supporting us from the jump, and he had initially started Park Car Talks a long time ago on his own. And then he shot a couple pods with us, and he just always supported us, and it just naturally made sense to help him out,
exactly,
and then like also bring him in as well. And then he brought in all his guys that wanted to support him. Man. So it was which is a blessing. Bro. And then Kat, my girl, like
of course,
like she just like her love for me and like wanting to help us, and like just kind of seeing it through a lens and just seeing like how much we were doing, and just. I mean, she has an operations job, she's natural fit as a COO, you know?
Exactly.
So it's cool to just like see like how we assembled a team, because it was more so like, I'm not saying yours was an organic, but it was more so just like, oh, like they're helping us with this, they're helping us with this. And then like now they're just kind of stuck.
Like the pieces.
As opposed to, I feel like you like thought out.
Went out,
You all went out and like actually looked for people.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll touch on that too. I think it's interesting. Because I feel like, I think we're kind of misunderstood in that regard, where I kind of even spoken to him. It's like some of the people that we're working with or that we've known, we've known for a long time. And I guess, at least personally I have. And there's always been something to, this particular person or whatever. I've always, had certain conversations that have been enlightening, that have been positive. I just don't think there's ever been a direction where we could go. And it kind of like I was explaining a little bit earlier, we had certain restrictions that kind of put a damper on our creativity. Yeah. And I think now that's being, kind of opened up and displayed. So a lot of the people that are helping me right now are actually, some of the people that I either went to school with or that I've built a personal relationship a little bit earlier to finding them. But that's kind of like, again, like you're saying, that's like the infrastructure part. Yeah. That's like the people who are helping me with admin and making sure that things are running properly. But some of the creatives that we've met, we've definitely, reached out to them and helped, asked if we could provide, a service to them and promoting and supporting them. For free, of course. And, that's part of it, is we want to build a community and something that, they can come to and
y'all are building up like a portfolio of like what you're trying to do. So it's like I've worked with these guys, these people. Then it's like whenever you really want to start monetizing your stuff, it's like, all right, well, this is my resume essentially. Like, so I've worked with these people, or for us, like we've had these guests on. We're not gonna charge you to come on the podcast, but like even for then, it's like if someone's like, well, I need help, like I don't know how to make content. It's like, oh, well, we can do consulting. Like,
there's so many services.
Have shown, so there's all kind of ways to get into it, and it's I was just curious, and also when you said about like your creative like being kind of like limited, was that because you guys like outsourced and like found people? And it wasn't like organic.
It was
in a way.
Essentially, honestly, because it takes the time to build that relationship to like make it more organic, if that makes sense. Some of the people that are helping us, like a Malik, a Claude, like we haven't known for a super long time, but we've had the people around. They've been in the circle, if that makes sense. They've been supporting our stuff for a while. So that's
So that's like more like a strictly business and like as you're like trying to expand on an idea or something, then it might get shot down because they're probably looking at it from like a business like level as opposed to like the creative level.
Exactly. It's not as like on the same plane, if that makes sense. And I think that's part of the navigating the waters of running a business, because you do need people to make it happen. Man. And I think like that's something, again, I really struggled with when I was even like playing on a sports team and stuff like that. I was always really personal, like with my music, and like sharing that and kind of like letting people know what I'm doing, because I always kind of felt like some of those things in there were pretty personal to me, and they are, but there's something to be said about, again, that power of collaboration and like wanting people to help you and stuff like that. And again, like we can get into it, but it's like, ATownDown, for starters, is like it's a culture brand. Like we're not a streetwear brand. We're not a clothing brand. And that's something we really wanted to make sure people know. Is like we want to be more than just that. We want to make sure we put ourselves, in the door as something bigger than that. Because I think we talked about it in the last segment. It's like we didn't want to put ourselves in that box. So those restrictions were, again, they were more of like business related. But yeah, man, I think we want to be able to create a platform that helps promote and support Austin artists in all facets. Again, whether that be via videography, graphic designing, any artist, honestly, musician, anything. We think, we really firmly believe in the power of collaboration and community. We have our slogan. It's the journey to finding ourselves began here.
Yeah, that's fire.
And I don't know if it's trademarked, so I don't know yet. We got to look into it and get the licensing right.
Because I
don't want to skip a step for real. For real.
No, it's just funny.
It's important. But
sure.
That's our slogan, and it's something we firmly believe in. We believe that every creative has their own journey, and we want to help nurture them and help uplift them in that journey. We feel like they haven't necessarily always gotten the respect and the recognition they deserve, and we want to help shine that light on them. And being independent creators ourselves, it was like that's the perfect answer to the problem that we had. And I think that's what's starting a business really entails, right? Is you need to be able to answer the question to your problem, essentially. Like, are you going to figure out what did I not have that I know I can essentially put into the market and give somebody else, and that would essentially be your business. And that's kind of the way that me and him have looked at it. So it's been amazing building that with the people that we have. Again, shout out Jennings, shout out Alex.
Yeah, facts.
I'll go into it, man. Shout out Dove, shout out Mason, shout out Los, shout out Claude, shout out Ches, shout out Malik, shout out Velez. Man, there's so many people, man. It's just a lot of it's a big list. I'm sure I'm leaving somebody off, but we just appreciate everybody who's a part of it, and we want to bring something to the table that's a little bit more than just a normal streetwear brand.
For sure.
So
since I've met you've been a researcher guy, whether if it's for business or if it's for sports or if it's for betting, whatever it is, you've always just done the research. So how hard was it for you to transition from I'm an artist to like I'm a businessman, I have to run this business?
For me, I actually, it was difficult. I think the most difficult part, honestly, was being able to elevate myself in a personal way to be able to get to that point. I think it's something to be said about, being able to become a businessman, right? Like you're saying, you have to be able to switch your mentality, be able to do certain things on the fly. I think for me, I've always been, like you're saying, a researcher, somebody who's always been interested in this new thing or this new thing. That's kind of the way that my brain spins. Like whenever I look at, a water bottle, I think of all the parts, like the lid and, the logos and different things. Like there's a lot of stimuli going on. So for me, luckily, it wasn't super hard, but I will say the hardest thing was trying to get myself to a self-relaxation level, like a self-care level where I could do that to the most efficient way possible, if that makes sense. And again, like that transition, it was helped by people like you guys and him. And like I had certain people always in my ear, like, hey, look at this. Look at it this way. Even if you don't agree with it, like you should form your own opinion on this. Like just go on and do the research, man. And I really believe in that like quote. It's like if you go and you take the time. I think we were talking about this again off camera. It's like, one of the reasons I believe he has the it factor is like he has that willingness to learn. Like he will do the research to know what everything is, even if again, you may not know that research at the time, but it's the fact that you're willing to do the research that kind of gives you that, it factor, in my opinion. And so for me, I think it was easy, but it was also difficult in a different way, if that makes sense.
What about for you?
For me, it was more so just, I've always said it honestly, we've always had conversations off camera about it, but we've always talked about wanting to be businessmen. So I've always wanted to be a businessman, and I've always had that mindset in the back of my head. But it was more so, like Z said, was bringing it up front and actually putting forth the actions and understanding like what it takes to even become a businessman. Like being super organized and understanding your times throughout the day and where they clash or where they don't clash, or when you even go to the bathroom or go and eat fucking food or whatever that is. It's just it becomes deep because you're like, oh, like I really have to understand a lot at a whole different level. It's not just about, I guess, business. It's learning how to be able to function and be like a machine, like we talked about. So
Yeah, that's the most key because I mean, I feel like a lot of people want to be an entrepreneur because they don't want to like work for someone else.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like you're working for yourself and you're also having to be a leader if you're in that role or provide for your, you know, your coworkers as well. Like the people you're working with are your business partners. So you definitely have to like be structured, be on a schedule, know when you got to scale back for your own personal self, but then also know when you got to like get on the gas for not only yourself, but for like everyone you're working with. Cause if you're not bringing your end of the bargain and showing up, then really it's not going to grow. And then you're kind of just like, all right, what are we doing? Then that can create, you know, conflict within the, you know, the camp or people like, you know, you're not doing this or I'm not doing this. So learning how to balance that, then also just like he was saying, like balance everything, I feel like kind of compounds. So if you are a morning person, getting up in the morning, attacking your day, getting a good breakfast, working out, whatever, and then, you know, taking some time to yourself, working on your business, and just having like a lot of time scheduled out. Because I feel like if you're just like, I don't know what to do, but even like for us, like we got on Asana. It's like, you know what that is? Yeah. So we like just got on that.
Okay.
And yeah, we know what we need to do every week, but like seeing like a paper trail of it, and then like now you're like, all right, this person, I see that they're doing all of this, I'm doing all of this, whatever, and like you hold each other accountable.
We be in Notion.
Yeah, exactly, and you have to,
gotta be,
you have to, bro, because I feel like if you're not on stuff like that, then you're like, oh, we're working on the business, but like, you really like. If there's nothing like to look at, then like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and I was gonna say, like, especially for you guys, like you guys have also at this point too, like you've already created something bigger than yourself, so you do owe it to them to work that hard and be that organized. I love how you put that because that's something we're working on too. I think that's kind of something we want to do with ATownDown as well. As like we want to create something that's bigger than ourselves. But within doing that, you know, working on self-expression, working on self-progression too. I think one of the biggest goals for me next year is I already kind of have my New Year's goal, but be the ultimate giver. That's what I want to do. For sure. And I think, you know, we can all work on that. And, you know, obviously that's a personal thing that I want to work on. But I think for me, I want to help people as well. But I just want to be an ultimate giver. Like, I just want to give everything that I know I can give and, you know, be gracious in doing that. Be grateful for the people that I have around me. But I love the way you put that for sure.
Yeah. And on that note, too, with that being said, being able to give, or actually to answer your question first, to finish answering your question, it was a rough transition, basically just trying to understand like how to take care of myself first in order to take care of business. And that's really where it's key. It's being able to take care of yourself first. That always has to come first, regardless to what anybody believes. So that's what I found out, but I've understood that, and now since I understand that, it's a lot easier for me to transition through these things and learn more about what I need to know about so I can keep obtaining the information. And then it's also, to what you were saying about being more of a giver, it's also been, for me, just trying to be a better leader and going into that conversation about what you guys talked about, just being organized and owing it to certain people to be organized, so that way they can eat and that way they can have certain things on their table. Yeah, and that's important. So
for sure,
that's how we look at it.
Yeah. So I do like what you said about like the self-care thing and taking care of yourself, because I think when we first started, that was something that as a team between me, him, and Albert is we struggled with, just because sometimes all three of us weren't seeing eye to eye on things. And I think when you first start something, especially something like this, like the first thing people tend to think of is just money, like bringing the money, generating money, and like, all right, let's do all this and that. And that's where a lot of our problems stem from, because everybody just wants to be wealthy. Everybody wants to be okay and
comfortable,
just do whatever they want in life, you know? But yeah, taking care of yourself is probably the biggest thing going into this, because it just, once you're able to take care of yourself, you're just fine mentally, and you're able to give the best version of you can to yourself, to the business.
Right.
Yeah, and that was probably one of the hardest things that we've dealt with. And then I think something that we still kind of, as a whole, kind of deal with is, you have to change your mindset when it comes to the business. Like it has to be for the business, and you just have to see things differently.
Yeah, the money,
And
the
it might not,
energy.
it might suck, but like you just have to see it differently.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've been trying to work on and be better at and like do, because it might not be the way you want it to be, but that's how it is.
Right.
And then you might not like how it's going.
Yeah.
But if it's helping, then you just have to
Right,
kind
if we're moving
of put
forward.
your pride aside, and it's working.
in the right
Yeah.
direction.
And
Go
like
ahead.
with that being said, there's also like, I guess you can call it a crucial reality or the actuality of the business world.
Yeah.
It's crucial understanding that when you said there has to be an understanding of knowing that this is business or this is personal, there really is a difference, because the business world is completely different from the personal world of what Isaac may have going on in his mind. So like there's rules and they need to be followed in order to get to where anyone wants to get to.
Because that business world will eat that the reality of your world alive real quick.
Yeah, and the cool thing too, like I was telling CJ prior, like at work today, we had our Descent conference, and I really, really like just like look up to my CEO a lot, like when he does talk and like when he leads, because like his job is primarily driven through sales, but he's like a good person and like wants the best for the firm and like trying to put on like younger advisors and how they make a lot of money and things like that. And like a lot of things he talks about is like depth over distance. It's been like our yearly thing we've been talking about. And today he like even talked about like he wants to, so essentially we have 237 advisors right now. He wants to have 1,000 by end of 2026 hired into the firm. So it's like, to get there, you got to have these plans in action. So he like lays everything out, right? And then he has, you know, we're going to recruit the back half of the year. And then the next 2 quarters, we're going to focus on the business and production. Because he's like, if you're all in on this one thing, trying to recruit all these people, you're not going to produce. Like, he's like, that is what it is. As like a human, you can't do everything at once. Right. So he's like, we're going to scale back on that, produce, and then we'll roll back into recruiting. And I was just like listening to that, because I typically will take like a couple of tidbits every time we will speak.
Of course.
And I was just like, dang, like that's kind of where our focus needs to be. Like, we've been focused so much on content, and like content is great, and like we're able to be consistent, but now we really need to figure out not only how to get some kind of money coming in to help us, you know, achieve our goals quicker, but next year, like when we have a studio, we need to focus on like the studio. Like the studio needs to be the priority. Like obviously we're going to still do our shows and stuff,
Of course,
but we might have to cut some things down. Like we're like, okay, we're having all these people trying to book and use stuff. We might only have a couple rooms, right? It's like, all right, well, we need to either shoot a haul on this day, or we're only going to prioritize like an off topic and like one sports show, and all these other cool ideas we want to do might have to be on the shelf until things like die down, or we're able to get a bigger spot, or have people hired on to help us edit and do whatever. So just kind of like putting stuff in perspective and learning it from the corporate world, because a lot of people don't. Like a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to be I don't want to, you know, work for someone, and you know, they kind of like shit on corporate America. But there is a lot of, especially if you work at like a good company, there's a lot of stuff you can take, as an entrepreneur and like apply it. Obviously, it's not the same. You don't want it to be like, you know, a white collar a job,
like mundane.
But exactly, but you can take like that type of stuff and apply it. You know, so that I feel like that's a lot of stuff people don't talk about. Is like people are like, oh, well, I hate my 9 to 5. So I'm like, bro, you can learn stuff there. Like learn stuff there and then take it into what you're trying to do.
Yeah, like find a job that you can use in your passion.
That's what I'm trying to do right now.
That's the best way to do it. And again, it's easier said than done. We're just talking on mics, but it's clear to me that you've taken the action. Also, you know, clearly understand and
like
incorporate
and
that.
a lot of stuff they're doing is like sales, and like at the end of the day, like we're selling ourselves, we're selling content, music, a product, whatever. And if you can sell, then like you're gonna be successful. Like that's probably the number one skill, and that's hard to learn.
And I was telling somebody not too long ago about how the job I'm working at, it's not even the best paid. Like it's not a good job. I would say if you're focused on money, you wouldn't really be wanting to work there. But it's more so about, like you said, the things that are able to be obtained and to learn during the time of me being there, and understanding like, oh, okay, maybe I'm not getting paid $15 or $16 an hour, but I'm also understanding how SKU check works. Even though it seems stupid, it's very tedious, and you have to understand what patience is and all these other different things. They'll take you to a whole different level. So
Yeah, that's another thing too. I want to touch on that. Like, we've been like having really big goals, and we think goals are great, and like, but like you just said, there's a bunch of little steps to get to that big goal.
Yeah.
And I think we've been trying to backtrack and figure out, okay, like, what are the steps? We don't really want to miss any. We want to get here, kind of like what you're doing at your firm, but like, how are we going to actually get there? What are the actionable things? That's what we've been saying, like actionable. What are the actionable things we can do to really get us to this goal? So,
And it's really cool too. Like I was talking off camera with CJ, and we've been like watching his finance podcast a lot and just like learning from that. And I was talking to Carlos. It's like I kind of want to do like some financial stuff to like help teach people.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not like an expert, but I know like a decent amount. And I was just
like
saying,
leveraging
like,
credit.
yeah, all that stuff. It's like
Super
credit,
important.
using money, and all that stuff. Learning it, and I feel like I think it just comes with us getting older. Like we were talking off camera about like listening to Drake and like kind of like the content he was talking about and stuff. But I feel like now we're all trying to like do the best for ourselves. Not only are we going to help ourselves, but in turn, it's going to come back to the business in the full front. Cause it's like, all right, if we're taking care of our own financial abilities, we don't have a lot of debt and stuff. And we need to like, you know, come out of pocket a lot more for the studio, or maybe, you know, get a spot that's temporary. We have the ability because we're at that financial freedom because we handled stuff,
You know,
now
about balance transfers
and like making sacrifices, like not going out anymore, like not ordering food all the time, like stuff like that. Like I feel like it's just people just don't think about everything does add up and comes back around, especially when you're trying to do something like this. You know?
And it sucks, like you're saying, like, it's like you don't got the money for Chick-fil-A. Like they want you to think you do. You know, like you're saying, like just it's tough, man. It's a struggle. It's not for everybody,
bro. Like getting coffee, like getting a coffee from like Starbucks or
it's like
Summer Moon or something.
right.
But you can go buy like, it's not gonna taste the same. You can go buy like the frozen or the cold one at HEB, and like it's 7 servings and it's like $7.
There's
stuff like
literally
That's how I am. Cause today I was like, cause I have Dutch Bros right down the street, and I was like, I'm gonna go to Dutch Bros today, and I was like, no, I just make the coffee I have here. I just bought it. I was like, might as well just make it. Like, already bought it.
right.
Yeah.
Like
And that stuff adds up, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like when you start thinking about it like that, black and white, it starts making your life. I think we were saying it was like the simple chaos, right? Because that chaos is gonna be there. Dutch Bros is always gonna be there. You're always gonna have that decision to make, right? Like, but it's up to you whether or not you can handle making that decision. And I think you know that's there's something to be said about.
And that's
that.
what I tell people. I'm like, man, if you've been, you know, you've been good, haven't been spending a lot of money, whatever, then it's like, all right, yeah, like vacation come up, have fun, because you know, you weren't blowing. You've been doing
you
your
have
thing,
it,
you know, so you can actually enjoy this vacation.
Exactly.
Instead of like being on the vacation the whole time, swiping a credit card, like, damn,
Man.
I spent all this money. You come back, it's like you have this bill, you know. So it's, I don't know, and I feel like all that just to say that just all comes back to everything like y'all are trying to do, and just trying to like help y'all out on that. Like, don't get in a hole, like, especially when you're young, because it's cool that you guys have been like not only being around us but other people a little bit older, you know, because at that
like,
age, 22,
it's
23,
not,
21, like,
bro, it's not
the
great.
temptation.
Yeah,
it's like
not every 21-year-old, 22-year-old has the same mindset as y'all.
Right.
Majority of them are like, I just turned 21.
Right.
I'm 22. Like, let's go out. Let's go to Domain. Let's go to City. Let's go party.
Let's go get lit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, like I think there's something to be said where we understand that too, where it's like when we're talking to y'all, I can feel that knowledge. Like I feel that wisdom where it's like you guys understand what it's like to be in our position. When, like you said earlier on the earlier segment, like you didn't get that help. You didn't have anybody talking to you about financial freedom.
All of us, like we were just, you know, we were trying to build this, but we were still like,
man,
we weren't all in as like we would say we were. We're like, oh yeah, we're serious and stuff. It's like, how serious are you? Like we're still going out. We're still, you know, ordering food or like whatever it is, distractions, like we're just letting that creep up, and we're like, oh, like the business. I was telling him like a couple weeks ago, I was like, we have to do it. Like we have to take charge and make it happen. Cause I was like, yeah, we could always be doing more, and you got to know how to balance that.
Right,
like if
of
you're
course.
stressed and stuff, but at the same time, you also got to know it's like, man, if I'm not doing anything, like there's something I could be doing.
right.
You know,
especially like when it comes to wanting to do something, we talk about it a lot. Honestly, wanting to create a business is, again, we can just say it's another sports team. It's basketball, it's football. It's a team trying to understand how people can synchronize and work together. And that's where it's always interesting to me because, like you said, it's like, what can I do to make the business better? Or how can I not go and spend $12 at Burger King and then spend, I guess, $12 on a printed T-shirt and get some merchandise for our company. It's stuff like that. So it's just it's crazy to me how it has to be like that because it's either like this or it's like that.
And adding on top of that, I think before like, don't take it for granted. Like we've had the Chick-fil-A, we've bought, we've gotten that stuff. Like we were young, we were blowing our money, mommy's money. Sure. Like we been had buying McDonald's, shoes, like clothes. We did all that, you know. Like that's something where it's. I think like what you said earlier, like the mindset's just different. It's like I kind of see it like that. Like you've already had that opportunity, man, to screw off and eat Chick-fil-A and not.
And now you
budget.
can correct it before it becomes too much of an issue, right? Like life happens fast, you know, like all that's so
for sure.
My thing that I try to do for myself and for others and my girlfriend too is just try to put stuff in perspective. Yeah, because I mean, you have to, especially in the business world, you have to take a step back and look at it like two sides. Like I could spend that $12 at wherever, or I can make this shirt, right? Or I can spend $50 at the bar, or I could pay $50 towards my credit card.
Exactly.
Right. Like, and that's the biggest thing that people do is like they'll be quick to buy $150 shoes, some J's that just came out, but like they still owe $3,000 on their credit card. They're like, or $150 on their credit card. I'm like, I don't want to pay that off. That's too much money. But like, I want these shoes, so I'm gonna get these shoes anyway. Yeah. So just I try to put it into perspective for people. It's like, yeah, you can do this, or you can do this. It's like you're spending the same money, but one's gonna hurt you more than it is gonna help.
100%. And like for anybody out there who wants to start a business, like definitely research, financial literacy. It's like it's really important. And again, I've heard you guys talk about it on OP, and it's dope. But like we were not taught this. Like it's not a free course. It's something you have to go learn on your own. And I think every individual is different, right? There's certain types of debt. Not all debt is bad. There's different debt, and like. I just think, I think people need to understand kind of why, like, why are you going to buy those new J's when you owe $150 on your credit card? They need to start asking those questions because, like, that's, I think, where the root of that comes from. It's like if you start getting answers to those questions. So what
you're saying is I learned the hard way. That was me. I learned the hard way.
Nah, for sure.
I'm not scared to admit it either. Like, and I love talking about it just because I learned so much from it. But I learned the hard way. I was fortunate enough to learn the correct way, but as I was saying, like 18, 21, like one ear and out the other. That's how it was. Like it wasn't just when you're young, you don't really think about the things. And like I said earlier, like when you're 16, you think you have the whole world figured out.
For sure. Yeah.
But like when in reality you don't. And I was just young, and you're just dumb, and you're just like, oh, it doesn't affect me when it does. It does. Yeah. So I learned the hard way, and that's how I learned about all my like financial literacy. So it's not the best way, but that's one way people do learn is through that way. Yeah, but that's the hardest way to like climb back out of, but it's possible.
It's possible, and we were talking about it earlier. Like that was one of the restrictions I had a few years ago. Is we were not like financially literate enough to be able to really effectively start our business, and we again like things are capital intensive. Like it's not easy to be able to be an entrepreneur, and again like there's it really starts off with that mentality change. But yeah, man, I'm glad you got.
Yeah, you gotta have. I saw this thing on Instagram. It was like if it's not a fuck yes, like. Then it should be a no.
No, right.
Like if it's not immediately as soon as you see it, it's like, dang, I gotta go to that, or like, like I just went to my home, like one of my really good friends, like his bachelor trip. I'm like, of course I'm gonna go to that.
Yeah, of course.
Like, but if it's like, we have a trip planned at the end of the year, like that's something that we want to do just to not only celebrate how hard we work, but just to have fun and hang out and do something in like a safe environment and relax as well. Like the end of the year, like you should celebrate that. Getting through the year, like people pass away and stuff, like getting through that, being healthy, cherishing that moment. But then there's other stuff where it's like, oh, you just want to, go here for no reason for what, right? Or like, I'm gonna go buy this, bottle for what or whatever. So it's like once you kind of like learn how to, not have that FOMO or not have that, sacrifice. And for me, what I had to do for myself was I had to like make myself distracted by like working hard as fuck.
Yeah.
And like, cause that, if I'm like, oh, I'm tired, I don't want to do anything, or like, I'd rather just work on something.
Yeah.
And then even with 75 hard is what, like I told him, really the reason I did it too, another reason I forgot to tell you when it came up was, I really did it because one, I did want to like correct some stuff fitness and health wise.
Yeah.
And then also two, Kat was like, I want to do it with you. That helped a lot.
Yeah.
And then three, it was just more so it's like, if I'm working out twice a day and I have to get up to work out, drink water, can't drink alcohol, can't eat like bullshit, then I'm not going to spend money on fast food. I'm also not going to go out and drink or go get a pointless drink or whatever because I can't because of the challenge. So like I feel like for me, it did discipline me in that aspect because I got so used to doing it for 2.5 months where it's like now someone's like, oh, you want to go out? I'm like, nah, not really. Like, I really no reason to.
It's always gonna be there. You can do that anytime.
Exactly. And it is different when you actually like go out and like every so often.
Yeah,
it's way more fun.
I'm about to say birthdays
things that matter. Or it's like, damn, I haven't been out with Sean.
Yeah, I was gonna say my mom
more
tells
special.
me like celebrate the things that matter. I think you kind of were touching on that at the end of the year. It's like you guys had a great year, bro. There was hella growth. I mean, we've seen it. It's amazing, right? Like that's something you should celebrate. It's something that you should look forward to, throwing a party about, honestly, being able to relax. And I think again, man, like it's tough. Like I always find myself battling, that mentality, being able to turn my mind off and being like, okay, I'm resting, I'm relaxing. Cause I'm always on go. Like I'm always, 24/7 trying to be locked in. And I've talked to you guys about that. And I think CJ's told me like, it's like you'll burn out. Like there's no possible way that
it's
like,
impossible.
And I know that.
Yeah.
So like it's like there's always that thought in the back of my head too, where it's like I'm smart enough to realize that that's still a thing. But what happened? Did he catch it?
Yeah. I'm sorry, bro. I had to watch that, bro. The bases were loaded. Damn, I thought that ball was gone.
Oh, bro, that would have been great.
Damn.
Bravos, bro. Dang. But yeah, it's crazy. The mentality change is definitely something that, I still need to work on to this day, but I battled. Nobody's perfect. That's another thing too. Like you're saying, sometimes you have to learn from experience. You have to go through certain things, trials and tribulations. I'm just thankful for the people that have helped us, on this journey and share information with us.
To even add on to what you're saying too, I think that I want because I think it's major for us to also be able to talk to our audience as well. So I think it's big that people also understand the motion and the movement of what it takes, and even the personal things of like having certain people around, or certain maybe being tugged this way and then being pulled that way, and then you having a girlfriend and then your girlfriend saying like, oh, I want more time, and then you have to put more time towards a business. It gets deep. So it's like,
for sure,
me, I
family time. Like not
it's
seeing your family.
It's important for us to understand how to turn those switches on and off, and to even, when I said be a leader, to be able to even explain certain things to people that may not even understand fully. And even if they don't understand, to understand what patience is, to even be like, okay, cool. I may just need to plant this seed and let this grow, whatever. But it gets deep. So yeah.
For you, the Mr. Beast approach might be the best thing for you. He does 9 days hard. That 10th day off, he just chills, does nothing, watches anime all day. He'll that's when he'll order in, eat whatever food he wants.
Yeah, I might need to look into
do all that, and then after that day's over, back at it 9 days straight.
Just go back.
That's kind of how I am like through the week, like Monday through Friday,
right?
Just like work week, like just programmed. And then like on the weekend, it's like Saturday really is the day, and then like Sunday evening, it's like the reset, like get ready.
I have a question for you guys, like. Are you guys tired?
Right now? No.
Okay.
Well, yeah, but
I was going to say, like, for us, one of the things that we've kind of been learning, able to, like, being able to focus when you're mentally exhausted.
Yes.
I think is something that I think people, no offense, but, like, it's naive to think you're going to have a good day every day. You're not going to be on 100% every day. To your point, like I think for me that method would be good because I'm on go all the time, and I think that day would help me recharge, right? So I could keep going. But I think learning how to still work even when it's not in the most perfect conditions.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Learning how to work when you're tired, because I'm gonna be honest, bro. Like, you can be tired, but it doesn't matter. You still got to put in the work if you want to do this. You need to be able to process things while you're in that state too. And when you're on go, like you're saying, you're not tired, you're good. You're so focused. You're so where you need to be because you know, like yourself, you know what you're capable of doing when you're not at that level. So for me, I feel like that's what we've been working on too, like getting that edge in that way, in the mentality side.
And that was something too, like me and him were kind of bad about, me, him, Albert, all of us. Like we would stay up hella late to working on stuff, and it'd be like 2:00 in the morning, right? And it's like we're really being like, from like the productivity aspect, it's like we're really not even getting that much done. So we should just really go to sleep. Like so just trying to like, cut that off, productive. Going to bed at like midnight instead, and then waking up at like 6 or 7. It's way more productive. Like sometimes you gotta tell yourself, it's like, all right, I know I'm not going to really be productive. I'm just going to sleep.
Right.
And that's okay too, because I feel like people are like, oh, like, I stay up all night, and like, nah, it's really not realistic. Yeah. Especially as you get older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not
pretty. Learning now is, especially as you get older, the people who like, I guess the entrepreneurs who preach like they don't sleep or whatever. Sleep's the most important thing.
I was about to say.
It's the most important thing. Like you had 7 to 8 hours. That's you have to get it.
From the research I've done,
it's the most important thing. That just if you're not sleeping enough, eventually your body just like shuts down in a way. Like you're just tired. You don't want like you get sick.
Yep.
Really, you just get sick
for sure.
And but if you're on a good sleep schedule and it makes you like, because if you don't sleep that much, I feel like there's times where you like fuck off, so to say, because like, oh, I can do it later. But like if you're on a sleep schedule, I have to go to sleep by this time. It makes you prioritize like whatever you have to do in the day and make sure you get it done.
Right. Yeah. No, I think even for us, like with the whole ATownDown thing, like we want to help artists, we want to promote them, we want to support them in the business aspect, but like you're saying, we also want to help them with their personal things. Like, like if they're having trouble sleeping, I think Sai was kind of talking to me earlier, like, where am I most valuable? Maybe it is, you need to have a conversation about, like, are you good? Like, you've been having trouble sleeping? Like, there's just other things that are more important than the business. I don't know, like there's just bigger things that are more important. Like you're saying, like getting that sleep so you can feel energized, so we can even have a valuable conversation in a meeting. Like it can't even get to that point without that being efficient.
And I feel like a lot of the times when we were doing that, it's because we had no structure. So it was just like we're just working on whatever, and we're like, oh, like I'm just gonna wait till night to do it. Man. But really, if you like have your stuff coordinated and organized, you can make the time you have in the actual day count, and then in the evening you can either set that aside for your personal time or whatever, sleep or whatever. And I think the only time you really should, like, at least in my opinion, is if you're pushing like that late at night or something, is if you have to get it done. Like it's a deadline,
it's like
or whatever, something like that. Then like, okay, that's understandable. But if it's like, oh, you're just working on stuff, like go to sleep, bro, and get up at a reasonable time and
go harder.
Energize.
Yeah. I mean, you can kind of tell him. I think like literally you were telling me he was working today, bro. And it's like, I'm drowsy eyed. Like I literally had to close my eyes and rest, and I was just telling him what you just said. Like it's fine to rest. Like once you get up, you get your energy back. Go hard. So
This was dope. I mean, I had a great time. It won't be the first or the last time. So
first of many.
Yeah, first of many for sure. I don't know if you have any other questions for them.
Man.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of hit questions that we typically ask at the end. So
yeah, no, for sure. I guess for y'all, just what are some?
That's what they said it. I mean, that's what I said. They just touched on stuff that we asked at the end.
Yeah, that's true. I'll just give y'all a word of just like encouragement. Like, I really appreciate y'all not only for supporting us, but like, I mean, y'all, as much as we inspire y'all, like y'all inspire us, because we see a lot of our younger selves in y'all. Like, just when coming up with an idea, curating it, it's cool to watch it grow. It's cool to see the people that we've met kind of show y'all love with like Austin and Matt as well. And showing like not only that we're genuine people as well, but the people we're, working with, collaborating, they're just as genuine.
Helping us
and
meet.
it makes it special, So,
man,
just words of encouragement, like just keep doing y'all's thing. Like there's going to be, I mean, you talked about it to us a lot about like both of y'all about, struggles, ups and downs. It's going to happen, it's going to come with it. Man. But you got to remember why you started it, why you're trying to do it, and what you're trying to do with it. And it's not like you were saying, you want the brands to be bigger than yourself. It's not going to be about you, because as soon as it is about you is when you get frustrated, discouraged, and you will stop, doing it for the right reasons. And then that's kind of when things will fall off a cliff. But if you're doing it the right way, the energy will come back around. And
exactly,
just keep doing what y'all are doing, and y'all got it.
Yeah,
y'all got something cool cooking up, and it's gonna be special. So
yeah, no, that's love.
Yeah.
I mean, we appreciate you, man. Like, I mean, we want to make it known, like, especially because it doesn't seem like this world gets enough love, man. So just being able to spread that, ultimately, like, we want to be ultimate givers, and we're working on that every day. It's definitely a challenge, like you're saying. It won't be easy. We appreciate those words, though, man. And honestly, like for you guys, it's like, I'm just thankful to have met you guys. You guys have changed my life, just from a mentality standpoint, and like I'm really thankful to be able to have a conversation with you guys and chop it up. It's something that it's not taken for granted. So me and him, we really appreciate the opportunity for show. And again, we're gonna keep on building, man. It's not gonna stop. The train don't stop. There's definitely some minor errors, but those things aren't gonna get us down. And we're gonna keep on going. And again, like you said, something bigger than ourselves, man. That's what we want to do it for. We want to do it for that reason. We want to make sure that that's the goal, creating a vision that people can share and can like get behind. So it's been awesome.
Yeah. Don't stop. Just keep going. I mean, times get hard. There's definitely ups and downs, but there's always light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm glad y'all are doing it at such a young age.
Yeah.
It's dope. I mean, we look back and we see kids doing this stuff at such a young age, and it's like, it's dope because you're just bettering yourself, and you're gonna have a better future for yourself as well.
For sure.
So don't stop. Don't give up. I mean, I like what y'all got going on. It's gonna be a big name in the Austin area / United States / worldwide.
International.
So, man, I appreciate that for sure. Yeah, that's the plan. And again, like last thing, it's like, definitely if you're somebody who's watching this, definitely reach out to people who are doing what you're doing. I think that was something that, again, I struggled with when I was younger, is I didn't ask for help. I didn't, I tried to go to do the research on my own, and I didn't really know where to look, if that makes sense. And now I'm getting, you should look here, you should look here. And I'm really thankful for that. And I think there's something to be said about that, being that genuine, right? It's like being able to share that information for free. And again, it's the conversations, you're always one phone call away, one text message away.
Exactly.
You can always figure it out. So I'm very thankful.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Even on that note, real quick before we end this, to add on to what he said, for all the kids out there, and not even just kids, but adults, whatever. I was told when I was in this group, this little learning group, I'll say, they taught me that you can always pivot to somebody. There's always somebody that you can pivot to. So it doesn't have to mean like pivot as in, ask for money, but it can be pivot as in ask questions or get answers to things. Or even go to a library and then talk to a librarian and ask them certain questions. There's genuine people out there in the world, and they're willing to help. So
For sure. I love that.
Y'all are great dudes, amazing dudes. You have good heads on your shoulder. We haven't met everybody from ATD, but just meeting y'all, I'm assuming they're the same. So y'all bring great energy. I'm sure they have great energy. So you have a great environment over there.
100%. Yeah, no.
I'm sure I can speak for him as well. Wish nothing for the best. Hope nothing for the best for y'all. I know this is something I've been working on for a long time.
Yeah.
So I'm excited that it's all coming together and step by step pieces are getting added. And the website's not out, but we saw the website and the revamp of the website, and it looks really dope. So the future's exciting. I'm happy for what y'all got going on, and I'm glad y'all are doing it.
Thank you. Man, that's what it's about. That's the goal, is being able to share relationships with people. I think that's really what it comes down to, is we want to make sure that we don't feel alone in this life, bro, because we're not.
We're not. Again, thank y'all taking time out y'all's day. I appreciate it. But y'all can find them everywhere. Is it at ATD or is it ATownDown?
Yeah, so Instagram is ATownDown official. And then the Twitter, I think, is ATownDown official. And then the TikTok is ATownDown official as well. So those 3 ones, X, I think is what they call it
X
now.
yeah.
The
The kids call it nowadays X.
Not Twitter, but that's where you guys can find us, and I'm sure they'll put it in the description.
Yeah, I'll
but,
put everything in the description down below.
You know, we appreciate it, and holler at the team. I'm sure I missed some people, but you guys, we love you guys, man. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taryn, who was
Yeah,
it?
Taryn.
Sam, Sebastian.
No, I got an anomaly
you,
for
Oh, you got them?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So then
Yeah,
it wasn't too many people missed then. It was
Yeah,
probably
no.
only like maybe 2.
in the flow of the conversation. But yeah, we're building that team, and we appreciate you guys for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, that'll do for another episode of Opinionated Off Topic. Make sure you guys show them love, their family. Obviously, plug in a 3-man weave. I'm sure it's going to start back up here soon with basketball season. So make sure you guys check that out. And you know, go check that out. They got some good content over there. And
For sure, my brother CJ.
yeah, so super excited to talk to them, man. They're great guys, and you know, we plan on working with them in the future, and you know, making them family as well. So
Likewise. Thank you guys. We
Of course,
appreciate
of course.
it. All right, peace.